You've been here before, staring at the same screen. The time we spend before we start working. There are 1,440 hours in a school year. The average public school teacher in an OECD country spends 791.5 of those teaching. That's 54.9% of their workday. That leaves half of their time for planning, grading, feedback, collaboration, professional learning, parent communication, general administration, coverage, and differentiating and personalizing instruction. How much of that time is effective? How much of that work is done after hours? How much time do you have to think, to be your best? We can't give you more time, but we can better use the time we have. Take back creativity. Liberate your time with eduaid.ai.
Hi, welcome back to day 5 of Week of AI. I feel like we're in COVID times because, we took during COVID. I'd take attendance and I'd add the dogs of my students to the roll call. We'd be like, all right, is Bono here? I had a kid with a dog named Bono. Cute U2 songs. But this is Maggie. She's my mini schnauzer, and I'm holding her right now because I'm preventing her from going crazy because little dogs love to bark when people come through doors. And my kids just returned home. But we have an amazing session up next. Michael Fricano, who is actually teaching right now in Hawaii. So we've got the record. Oh, there she goes. We've got the recorded version. He's going to be moderating the chat while there she goes.
People are laughing. They love it.
She's my motion detector. If someone walks down my street, we know. So so Michael Fricano is an amazing educator from Hawaii. He's a CoSpaces ambassador. Erica's going to give you his full bio, but we are going to play his pre-recorded video. And again, he's going to be moderating the chat from school. So super excited to share what knowledge he's going to impart with us on 360 generation using generative AI prompting to create, 3D worlds.
Oh my gosh.
Cue up that bio.
So excited. I know. Cue up that bio. So Michael is a K-6 technology integration specialist and a Maker Ed educator in Iolani School. I want to move to Hawaii. That sounds so amazing. I'm also, he's also a Google for Education.
He's here.
Oh, Google for Education certified. I got so excited. Certified trainer and an ambassador for many of the favorite ed tech tools. He received his liberal arts degree from Leeward Community College in Hawaii and bachelor's degree in elementary education at the University of Hawaii in 2007. Michael is the co-founder and committee member for EdCamp Honolulu and EdCamp West Oahu. We need to talk to him. Right? He hosts a professional learning blog called Ed Technocation. That's such a cool name. I always love that. Where he shares his own ed tech tips, tricks, resources, reviews, and opinions. Aloha and mahalo. I want to make sure I say it all right. I love Hawaii. Celeste Endo is a dear friend of mine. So it's nice to have another friend in Hawaii, especially in the education. Okay. So
we need to do some PD at his school.
Well, I know. I actually applied for their big conference in November. So you're going with me, Amanda, if we can.
All right. So we're going to throw up. Michael says, thanks, Erica and Amanda. He's going to be in the chat. So as you have questions, don't worry about interrupting him because you won't. He's going to be fielding those. And we're going to queue up his video.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll see you after.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to my Week of AI session. This is Endless Creativity with CoSpaces Edu and AI. Let's dive right in. So my name is Michael Fricano II. I'm a CoSpaces Edu Guru Ambassador. I've been using CoSpaces Edu for quite a number of years now. Even before they were an EDU company, I was using CoSpaces in a language and literature high school course. But by day, I serve as a K-6 design and technology teacher, in CoSpaces is one of the main tools that we use with our students to teach both design as well as programming. I also serve as a technology integration specialist at my school. And because I've been using CoSpaces for so long, I've developed lesson plans, I've developed CoBlocks tutorials, which is the built-in programming tool in CoSpaces, and I also help moderate and manage the CoSpaces Edu Facebook group. CoSpaces is probably one of my, not probably, it is one of my favorite creation tools for my students. And I love using it. My students really love using it. And so I want to talk a little bit first about what is CoSpaces Edu. And for those of you out there that have never heard of this tool before, you're in the right place. But if it's something you are familiar with, or maybe you even use it and love it as much as I do, chime in on the chat. I'd love to see who's using CoSpaces, who's heard of it. But it's an amazing tool. So I want to first introduce you guys to it, talk a little bit about why I love this tool and what it has to offer your classrooms. And then, because this is the week of AI, we have to talk about how AI could be used with this amazing tool. And so I'll dive a little bit into a couple of different AI tools that I've come across recently that I think might offer some support in adding more creativity into CoSpaces projects for students. But first, let's talk a little bit about what is CoSpaces Edu. So CoSpaces Edu, it's an AR VR creation tool for students, and it's extremely intuitive. It's very easy to use. It's based on a drag and drop system. Makes it very easy for students to build creations in 3D. One of the main reasons I love the tool is because of its built-in block-based programming tool called CoBlocks, which is very similar to Scratch or Code.org if you've ever used tools like that. But it's also possible to program in CoSpaces in JavaScript, TypeScript, and they're even testing Python right now. So if you have advanced programming students, there's some pretty amazing things you can do within this 3D design tool with those more advanced programming languages. But the fun part comes with how you're able to explore the things that you create, and that is through virtual reality and augmented reality. But let's take a look at this, this short introductory video to give us a better idea of what CoSpaces Edu is.
Do your students get to step away from consumption by creating digital content that demonstrates their learning? Class, meet CoSpaces Edu. CoSpaces Edu is a kid-friendly AR and VR creation app that enables building virtually anything. Build immersive 360-degree tours, create interactive stories, design virtual exhibitions, program games with a visual coding language, or conduct any experiment in 3D. All easily built, designed, and programmed by you or your students. Creating with CoSpaces Edu prepares kids for their future in the 21st century, whether that's for college, for civic life, or for their career, including in jobs that don't even exist yet. Your students develop their creativity, digital literacy skills, critical thinking, collaboration and communication skills, coding, design thinking, and more. All this while connecting with the study material part of the curriculum and having fun at the same time. And don't worry, it's easy to implement and intuitive to use. You can use CoSpaces Edu in multiple languages and from any device. Computers including Chromebooks, smartphones, or tablet devices, all with the same account synchronized in real time. Just register for a free account, create your class, and invite your students to join. And where the real fun starts is when you bring the wow effect of VR and AR into the classroom. Let your students dive into their own creations in VR, project what they've built onto the real world in AR, or even hold it in their hands with the Merge Cube. Get ready to engage and captivate your students on a level you didn't think was possible before. Welcome to the magical world of CoSpaces Edu.
All right. So hopefully that gives you a better idea of what CoSpaces Edu. Let's take a closer look at how it can be used in classrooms. So CoSpaces Edu is a great tool that can be adaptable to practically any classroom, into literature, language classes, used for vocab study, for programming and creating games, which is something I do extensively in my classes, helping to visualize things in 3 dimensions. There's a built-in physics engine, so you can do some pretty cool physics simulations, creating 3-dimensional infographics, tours of real locations, lots of different ways that you can adapt and use CoSpaces in your class. And some key ways to apply CoSpaces might be to develop stories, recreate stories, create original stories, creating virtual exhibitions or museums, developing 360 tours of real physical locations from all around the world, creating games like Jenga, like you see in the example there, and then again, this idea of creating simulations that allow students to apply real physical abilities to those objects. And then one great part of CoSpaces that I mentioned earlier is the built-in programming tool. And in CoSpaces, they call it CoBlocks. And as you can see in the example here, it's snapping blocks together. It's a visual block-based programming language that makes it really easy for students, even very young students, our junior coders, to create very simple programs that basically allow you to create interactivity within your CoSpace project by snapping blocks together. But again, there is also the opportunity to program in more advanced languages like JavaScript, TypeScript, and they're testing Python right now as well. And so CoBlocks lets you do things like create action, right? So in a very basic version of a CoSpace, you have a very static 3-dimensional scene. Everything's sort of like frozen in place, like a moment in time. But with CoBlocks, you can program objects to move, make the characters talk with each other, have a character walking down the sidewalk, walking their dog. But essentially, it allows you to bring your CoSpace scenes to life, to bring them to life and create movement and action. You can also create interaction, so helping your audience to become part of your CoSpace, giving them an opportunity to interact with objects by, for example, maybe making the book on the table interactive. Clicking on the book causes it to open up and then transition that player into another scene that brings them into that story that they opened up. And you can go from very simple programming to very complex. So something as simple as programming a car to drive down a road, experimenting with physics, or to really complex things like creating an actual game for others to play. Something we're doing right now with my students is they're learning how to create a parkour style or slash like floor is lava type games, creating an obstacle course where the objective is to get through the course and all the obstacles that are placed in that player's way without falling over and losing a life. So how do we create that ability to make the ground cause a life to be taken away? How do we create visual displays for the player? And we can do these things in a tool like CoSpaces and with the built-in programming language CoBlocks. So I just want to give you a quick demo, kind of give you a peek inside of what CoSpaces look like, and then we'll take a closer look at how we might be able to use AI with CoSpaces to inject more creativity, imagination, and design into projects. So let's take a closer look. So I'm going to jump in to a CoSpace here. So here I'm inside of one example of a CoSpace. This is a 3-dimensional frame of a house, and I also have an outside. You can kind of see the distance there. I'm going to change the environment. Maybe that'll give you a better idea of how I'm in this 3-dimensional space. And within this space, I can design a 3-dimensional scene, right? So I can physically move around in this version of a house, and I can move myself down into the building here. And then in the library, I have pre-made 3D models. So there are different types of characters of all ages, all types, all backgrounds almost, and then even some themed characters from like medieval times, ancient Egypt, space, different careers in life. So lots of different types of characters to choose from. So we have like a business person here, as we can see. And once I drag in an object, I have lots of ways to manipulate that object. So I can rotate it, I can lift it up in the air, I can give it animations like cheering or being aggressive or looking confused and scratching their head. I can give them speech bubbles like I'm so confused. Make him say something, right? And then by pulling objects from the library, I can then begin to create a three-dimensional scene, right? So I can bring in a chair, and there are ways to bring objects together. So I can attach this person to the chair. Now that doesn't look right, so I'm going to change his posture animation to, let's see, sitting on chair. And then looks like I got to adjust him a little bit. So I'm going to use my translation tool here to bring him into the chair. Okay. So again, lots of objects, lots of opportunities to create different types of scenes. I can decorate the inside of this house. I can decorate the outside of this house. Once I'm done building the inside, I could then add an object to create a roof, and thus creating a three-dimensional scene. And then, as I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite use cases of CoSpaces is using the built-in language tool, programming tool here. So I'm going to program in CoBlocks, and let's see, I'll program this this character to say something, maybe when I click on him. So when the suit man is clicked, I'm going to have him say, oh no, I am late for work. Whoops, spelled that wrong. So I can give him dialogue, right? And then I can have him change his animation. So I'll say I'm going to have him move into a run, okay? And then he'll move into the run position. Let me turn off his speech here. Okay, so now I can test this as I'm building this by switching into play mode, and I become the camera. So here in this virtual three-dimensional space, I can use the controls on my keyboard to virtually walk around within this three-dimensional space. And then I created some interaction here. So when I click on the suit man, we'll make him say something and then begin his run animation there. Okay, so again, a very easy, intuitive drag and drop system, creating three-dimensional environments, programming with CoBlocks, snapping blocks together to create very elaborate interactive experiences for others. Okay. All right, so that was a quick demo. And what I want to do now is move into what might be possible with AI. Because CoSpaces is very much a creation tool, and students need to have a lot of creativity. They need to be able to think very deeply about what it is they want to create in CoSpaces and what that scene is going to look like to the user, to the player. And if they get into CoBlocks, how are they going to help the player interact with the experience that they're creating? And so there are some really great 3D models in CoSpaces. There's a very extensive library. The CoSpaces team, they do add more objects to the library every now and then, so they're building up that library. But even then, with what's in CoSpaces, there's still a limitation, right? And so oftentimes students will want to use a particular type of object or 3D model in their CoSpace that just doesn't exist in CoSpaces, right? So what they'll have to do is get creative and use their imagination and think, well, what objects do exist in the CoSpaces tool that I can combine together to create what it is I want. And so there's a lot of creativity involved in this type of tool, especially when there are things missing, right? When there's something they want that doesn't exist on its own within the CoSpaces tool. And so there's lots of opportunity for that. But in CoSpaces too, there's just opportunity to upload content outside of CoSpaces into CoSpaces to use within your experience. So there's opportunities to upload. Make this a little bigger here, so you guys can see it. Okay, so over here down in the left, right? So in the upload menu, I'm able to upload images, right? So I can take images outside of CoSpaces, bring them in, and use them in various ways. There's a built-in web search, which is really great. They can search for pictures directly in CoSpaces, like pizza, right? So I have an image library of pizza that I can use. I can filter that to search for GIFs or GIF stickers, which students really love. There is opportunity to upload 3D models from other sources. So for example, I've seen some really great examples of teachers teaching students how to use a tool called TinkerCAD. And let us know in the chat if you've ever used TinkerCAD before. But it's a great free web-based 3D modeling or CAD tool for students that allows them to drag objects together and create their own 3D model. So sort of like CoSpaces, but in a sense that you're creating one specific type of 3D model that you can then take out of TinkerCAD and then bring into CoSpaces. And now you're expanding upon your 3D model library to make even more elaborate CoSpace experiences. So there's opportunity for students to create their own 3D models in a tool like TinkerCAD, and then you can upload your TinkerCAD models into CoSpaces and use them as 3D objects in your scene. It's also possible to upload videos into CoSpaces and then project those videos within your CoSpace so that your audience can watch them while they're virtually exploring your CoSpace. I have an example there that I'll show you in just a few minutes. But again, it is possible to bring videos into CoSpaces. You can also upload sound files. So like think of background music or background noise, right? Maybe a student's designing a park, a community park of the future, and to make the player feel more immersed in that 3D park, that virtual park, it's a good idea to incorporate sound, right? What does the park sound like when I'm virtually walking around in it? Maybe it's children playing in the background and dogs barking, and so students have this opportunity to create their own sound, their own sound files, and upload them into CoSpaces. And what's also really amazing is there's a built-in recorder. So if students are on a device that have a microphone, excuse me, they can use that microphone and record their own audio. So think of how students can incorporate narration, right? Their own voice into their CoSpace project. How can they be the narrator of their experience? By recording their own voice, coming up with a script, and then using the built-in recorder to record that. So there's really good opportunities for incorporating sound into this as well. And I'm going to share some examples of how we can use AI to do that as well in just a little bit. But with these upload opportunities, this is where I feel like AI has an opportunity to allow students to express more creativity and bring in more content to make their CoSpaces even more amazing, even more immersive. And so I want to introduce you to a couple of AI tools that I've been exploring that might help your students with that next level creativity. So the first one that I want to introduce you to, and I think somebody mentioned this in maybe in a previous Week of AI session. So much information has been shared that I can't recall it all, but this is a really cool tool that I came across from two other CoSpace ambassadors recently. They shared their experience with it, and I thought it was a really amazing way to bring very unique 360 imagery into CoSpaces. And it's through this this company called Blockade Labs. And they've created a web-based AI-generated text to 360 image creator. So you give it a prompt with words, and it generates 360 images. Very artistic, very unique, different styles of 360 images. And what's really cool about this is you can come up with or prompt the tool to create this 360 image. You can then download that image as a file, and then in CoSpaces there are opportunities to either upload a 360 image into a CoSpace and you make that the background of your CoSpace project. And so rather than having these generic background environments that CoSpace offers, students can come up with their own just by prompting the tool with some words to help develop that 360 image. So let me demonstrate Blockade Labs tool here. So at the website skybox.blockadelabs.com, this is the image generator tool here. And what you basically do is give it some words. So give it a prompt at the bottom here. And then what's really neat is you can choose the style that you want the image to be created in. So they have things like fantasy lands, sci-fi, manga, and I'm scrolling here, something called super art, CG film, storybook. So you can kind of play around with these different styles and see what unique 360 images you come up with. So for example, maybe I want to come up with let's see, a cartoonish fantasy castle upon a tall green hill surrounded by mushroom homes. I'm kind of getting my inspiration from Mario here. But let's see, let's try like fantasy lands, and we generate. And then, depending on, it looks like there's a 350 character limit there for your prompt. And then you wait. Excuse me, sorry guys. It's a bit late for me, but I'm very excited to be here, sharing these cool tools with you. Here we go. Okay. So here's my 360 image, and then so within the web browser, it'll automatically scroll, but I can take my mouse and move quickly, a little faster, around the 360 image. So really well done. Wow, the quality of this is like the best I've seen so far. I've been playing around with this for a little while, creating different things, but can you see, where's my mushroom? So there's mushrooms, not really mushroom homes, but it looks really nice. So then if I like it, I can download it. So I'll download this to my folder. Save. There we go. And then back in CoSpaces, I'll set up a new CoSpace. And I'll create a 360 image CoSpace. And then once I'm inside, I can go to my environment and I can upload my picture, my 360 image. So I take that picture I downloaded from Blockade Labs, open it up, upload it, and give it a minute, maybe a couple seconds here to load. And then once it uploads, it'll project that, there it goes, as my background in CoSpaces. So now in my CoSpace project, I have a much more elaborate, much more high quality, detailed background environment to create my CoSpace in. And then once I have the 360 image inserted, I still have access to the entire CoSpace library, so I can drag in, let's see, actually, there is a dragon. I'll bring that in. I can set its animation to attack fly. And then I'll, oops, whoa. Go, I'm gonna shrink that down a little bit. And then I'll move it. I'll go up there. Here we go. Now when I play, I see, look at that. Look how great that looks. I mean, it looks like it's all like meant to be together. Isn't that cool? Attacking flying dragon in my fantasy castle mushroom kingdom. Okay, so that's just one AI tool that I think has a lot of potential for something like CoSpaces, for allowing students to create more elaborate, detailed, and unique environments for their CoSpace projects. That's Blockade Labs. And right now it's free to use. You don't have to log in. It's not, it's not going to collect information from you based on your login experience. I mean, maybe it's saving the information you're giving it and the images you're creating, but a very easy to use, very accessible 360 image generator. I wonder, like, if I try something different. Like, I'll try the same prompt as a CG film. Let's see what happens here. It's kind of cool to be able to take the same prompt and then change the style of the image just to see what it comes up with instead. So let's give it a couple more seconds here. There we go. Let's see. All right. A little different. Looks like I'm kind of floating above the air here, but a different style of a town and a castle, different style of mushrooms. I was creating new, but not. There's just also this option for remix this. Let's see if I go. Oh, let's do it. I try storybook. Let's see, what does it mean? What does it mean? So new, remix. Like the structure of the skybox, but want to give it new style, remix it with a new prompt. I don't know. Let's see what we get. So a couple more seconds and we'll see what the storybook style looks like here. And we'll move on to another AI tool. Describe a new style for your world below. Okay, here we go. And ooh, this is much more cartoony. That's kind of what I was going for. Cartoonish fantasy castle. Looks more like drawn and cartoonish. A lot more bright colors, higher contrast. It's a cool picture. Okay, so yeah, give Blockade Labs a try if you're looking for some unique 360 imagery content. Okay, so that's one AI tool that I think has a lot of potential in something like CoSpaces. Let's take a look at the next one. There's the website there. Should have that on earlier. Skybox.blockadelabs.com. And so, as I mentioned earlier, it's possible to bring sound into CoSpaces, and so having things like background noise, background music, narration, using sound to give characters voice on top of the text dialogue that you might create for them. But background music is a really fun way of further engaging and immersing your audience in your experience. And so I came across this AI tool called Beatbot. And what it does is very similar to Blockade Labs in that you give it a text-based prompt, and then it does two things. It creates music based on that prompt, and then it also tries to generate lyrics for that music as well. And then once it's generated it, you have some options. You can download it as a video to get both the imagery, the music, and the lyrics together. You can download just the instrumentals as a sound file, or you can download the audio, which includes the instrumentals and the lyrics together. So a couple different options depending on what you're looking for. So Beatbot .fm looks like this. You can log in and it saves your prompts. So you can go back and access them again. So here I created one already. I prompted it to create a bard playing a flute to cheer on a crowd in a medieval town. And so what I get is something like this.
Take up my food and play a merry tune. Hear the music loud, sweet across the room. Hear the crowd cheer, let the good times bloom. Celebrate this moment, a magical afternoon.
Okay, so yeah, so pretty cool, pretty simple, pretty basic, but you know, for a student's CoSpace creation, it might be just the thing they need to make their experience more fun and engaging and immersive. So you have options for download, right? You can download a video, get the audio that's both the instrumentals and the lyrics, or just the instrumentals. Okay, so I've downloaded a couple of those and I'll pull them into this experience that we're building here now. So we'll go to sounds and I'll upload. Let's just pull in my instrumentals here. And so I have the sound, but to get it to play, I have to do some programming. I have to program that music to play. So in CoBlocks, there is a sound block here called play sound, and if I put it at the top of my code, I can choose it, and then play sound, and then I don't know how long the sound is, so I'm gonna have it repeat forever as the person explores my experience. So when I play, oh Jesus, wow, that was really loud. Let's try to turn the volume down a little bit. Oh, that sound file, that sounds horrible. That's not what it sounds like in Beatbot. So let's try that was the instrumentals, and maybe there's an issue with it, the file downloading and then uploading into something else. Let's try and upload the audio with the lyrics. Let's see what that sounds like. Look at that, it sounds good there. Oh, maybe that's what I'm doing. Let's try that. I think as I was putting it in a forever loop, it was overlapping itself. Here we go. So maybe what I need to do is then put it in a forever, but wait until finished is true and then play it again. Let's see what happens. Yeah, there we go. And then it'll just repeat itself. So the soundtrack here that it's creating, it's not very long, but you might be able to play around with the prompt to get a nice, nice sounding instrumental, background music, and then play that in CoSpaces and loop it, right? So a really fun, easy to use AI music generation tool. That gives you a couple different options. Some will just give you the music, but I like the fact that this one tries to give you some lyrics, and you can then download that as a video, as an audio. You could just pull the instrumentals. So some really great options there. And then they can take the lyrics and copy them, and you can edit them and kind of tweak, make some changes to it yourself, and then see what you're able to download from there. So that's Beatbot, creating original short songs based on text prompts. So we got like text to 360 image, text to music and lyrics. So what I've got next for you is something called Genmo, right? So this is text to video creation, okay? And what's cool is it uses your text prompts and then creates an image, and then you can refine that or give it some more specific information, and then it'll turn it into a video. And it's more, to me, it's more like a GIF. It's like a repeating video that sort of has some basic animation and movement within it, but you're able to download it as a video file, and then you can use it in something like CoSpaces. So this is called, I believe it's called Genmo.ai, and looks like this. And I've created a couple of examples already here. But let's see. Let me go back. Nope. Let's go. You can see some examples there. Let's get started. Okay, so generate a custom start. So you start by giving it some text, some prompts to create a frame, right? So maybe I'll say like evil serpent king with a large staff. Generate image. Let's see what it comes up with. So we'll give it, that's running right there. There it goes. And then we just got to wait for it to build. Can I zoom in here a little bit? Ooh, that's looking kind of evil. Now that's not the image just yet. There we go. Look at that. That looks evil. All right, so I've got my evil. Oh, the details just got even better. Evil serpent king with a large staff. So if it looks good, I'm going to check it. Then I move into the next step, which is to refine the story of my video. So I can edit it, describe changes that I want to make. Maybe it didn't turn out exactly like I want, so I can describe the edits here, like turn it into cute and cuddly serpent. You know, maybe I could say, make it look more evil and sinister. And I could exclude the floating object up in the corner. I don't know if that's going to make sense. Let's see. Add edits to tell a story. Oop, oh, no, don't do that. Okay, so customize options. Okay, and then video in painting. So color over backgrounds and object. Oh, because I can actually like, can I get rid of that? To animate them or let Genmo animate the whole frame. Huh. What does that do? Let's try that. Make video. And so, step 3, wait for your video to complete. So about 2 minutes, I guess, depending on the complexity and the edits that you gave it in in step 2. This might take a little longer or a little shorter, but we'll see what it's going to do here. Now, while it does that, I'm going to go show you one example that I came up with, and you might have seen it in my house CoSpace here. So over there, I have a picture on the wall. This is a Genmo that I created earlier to test this out, and I tried to create like a sort of a foggy, scary-looking castle that's you know, there's things moving and evolving around it. Now, right now, I did upload it as a video. So it is a video. And I dragged that video in and placed it on the wall to make it look like a moving picture frame. Now, in edit mode, I don't see it moving. But if I play, then the video comes to life. So if I get closer to it, I can see the animation of the Genmo that I created there. So you see it's kind of like things are kind of warping, the castle's changing, looking more sinister and evil and dark. I got birds and, I don't know, tree branches there kind of evolving and morphing. Got something happening down here at the water's edge. I got a person here coming and going. So some really cool animation, really cool things happening here. So yeah, it's like it's more like a GIF than a video, but to create this sort of animated text, text-based, generative AI imagery, it's kind of a cool concept. Let's see if this finished. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's cool. So I highlighted the staff and the circle, and I guess what that does is it tells the tool to animate those specific things. I didn't do it to the character, which I should have, and that would have allowed me to animate the character as well. But then when I'm done, I can download this as a video file. I'll say this like Serpent King. It downloads as an MP4 video. Save it, and then in CoSpaces, I can upload it as a video file. And there we go. And then I can use that in the decorations of my scene. Maybe I can put this on like a TV object, so it looks like the characters are watching TV. I can use it as pictures. I can, so pretty much anywhere I would want something to play or want the player to watch, I can use that video object in my scene. And so here I have there we go, the picture. Move that back a little bit. There we go. Now when I play, I see it processing there, but oh, there it goes. I don't know why that one's always moving and that one is not moving, but it should. Maybe I just got to tweak its position or something. But it's another great AI generative tool. So so this is text to video creation, the ability to specify what kind of picture you want, what you want to have happen in that video, and then animate it, bring it to life, and then use that content in a CoSpaces project. The last one might be the most familiar to you guys, but it's ChatGPT. Oh my goodness, I made a mistake here. This is not a text-to-video creation. Definitely not. I'll fix that. But ChatGPT, it's a natural language processing tool, and it basically allows you to have like human-like conversations with a chatbot. And so there's lots of, if you explore the gallery of CoSpaces, there's the gallery is like public facing content, so teachers that either create their own content or have their students create content, teachers can share those CoSpace projects to the gallery, and so it's a great place to get inspiration from others. But there's some really great examples of recreated stories, original stories, breakout rooms, scavenger hunts. And so one idea I plan to explore with CoSpaces and ChatGPT is having ChatGPT help me develop, for example, the framework. Oh, I'm sorry. The framework of a breakout room. So I could prompt it with an idea, with a theme. Tell it, like I'm going to have 3 rooms and I want each room to have one puzzle and the person can't leave the room unless they solve that puzzle, right? So what I have here in my example is here I'm in ChatGPT and I've got a prompt sort of ready to go here for us. And I'm asking it, can you create a breakout room style game based on a fantasy kingdom with an evil serpent king trying to take over the castle? I would like the game to include 3 rooms. Each room has one puzzle-like challenge that needs to be completed in order to escape the room and move to the next room. The last room should have a puzzle that defeats the Serpent King and allows the player to escape the castle. So I'm going to use the power of AI to help me create the framework of this idea of creating a fantasy castle breakout style room. So if I feed that prompt to ChatGPT, we'll see what it's able to create. And it says, certainly, here's a breakout room. So it consists of 3 rooms, each with a unique puzzle. So here it breaks down the game and the rooms. So room 1 is the Enchanted Library. You find yourself in a grand library filled with ancient tombs and mystical artifacts. So what I love about what ChatGPT is giving me is it's giving me the basics of what I want to create in something like CoSpaces. So here in the first room, I had this idea of creating an enchanted library. So, there are shelves and there are books in CoSpaces. There are tables and chairs. And so I can definitely create a library type room in CoSpaces. And then it goes further to say that it's filled with ancient tombs and mystical artifacts. And so there's some really cool objects that can create sort of the mystical artifact effects. And it says, as you explore, you notice a locked door on the other side of the room. So I can definitely build in a door that is not able to open yet. And then it gives me the puzzle challenge. And the puzzle challenge is the book cipher. Objective: find the correct book and decipher the code to unlock the door. So now I'm thinking in CoSpaces I could have one specific book object on a shelf, and the objective is for the player to kind of explore the library room, click on books, and see what information those books have to offer. And maybe there's a book on a shelf that when they click on it, it magically comes out of the shelf, opens up in front of the player, and inside is some information that'll pop up on the screen, giving them some type of riddle, right? And then ChatGPT gives me clues. It says the key lies within the pages of knowledge. So maybe I say in the book, it gives me a clue as to what other book I'm looking for. And it tells me in that book is the key you need, right? So I can use these ideas as a framework to build out my scenes, especially when students might be struggling with the creative aspect of what that might look like and how I might get started. Room 2 here is the elemental chamber. The next room is filled with mysterious symbols and 4 elemental pedestals: fire, water, earth, and air. So I just think it's really cool, the kinds of ideas and complexity of ideas that it provides us that can again help students get started with creating something amazing in CoSpaces Edu. And with something like ChatGPT, I can, if I don't like a specific thing, I can go in and say, I don't like the idea of an enchanted library. Can you come up with a different kind of room for the first room with a different solution? And it'll do that. It'll give me another idea, and I can accept it. I can say I don't like that one, or maybe there's a part of it I don't like. So chatting with ChatGPT to refine the ideas and really solidify what I want moving forward in this type of project can be really powerful, I think, for both teachers and students. And so ChatGPT, as one of the most popular AI tools out there, can be extremely useful in helping to plan out a particular type of project with students using a generative language model that can help us come up with ideas. So give that a try. ChatGPT. So we've got a few different AI tools that we've explored: Blockade Labs, BeatBot for music, Genmo for video, ChatGPT for developing ideas, refining ideas. And what I want to just briefly talk about are what's on my AI wish list for CoSpaces. Like, what else can I imagine that I think would be really cool to be able to do with AI? And some of these things I think we're on the cusp, like we're almost there. And so I call these things like my near future AI concepts, like what I'm thinking about for the near future with AI. And so one really cool thing, and I've seen some examples of this, there's nothing definitive out there. There's nothing out there that can do it just yet, but there are people kind of like sharing their thoughts and ideas around it, is this idea of giving text prompts to create 3D models. So think of, like, I mentioned Tinkercad earlier, but rather than building it from scratch, I could say, I want a chair that looks like an avocado, and it will generate a 3-dimensional model of this chair that's shaped and colored like an avocado. And then I could pull that 3D model file out, bring it into CoSpaces, and I've got a very unique 3D model that I can use in CoSpaces. So this idea of like, there's some, like, the ones I showed you were all like text prompts that create different types of media. This is just another idea that I've seen out there that I think would be really cool for something like CoSpaces, which is text to 3D models. Another one is using AI to generate 3D avatars of ourselves. And so there was one tool I came across that does it really well, but the file that you download from that tool, for some reason, doesn't play nicely with CoSpaces, and it wasn't working out for me. And I'm not sure why. It's something I want to explore and kind of figure out. But basically, what these tools do is you give them a selfie, right? You give them a couple of selfies, like you looking straight and then you looking sideways, so that it can map out the features of your face. And then it'll generate a 3D model of yourself that you can then download. You can customize it, download it, and then put it into your CoSpace so that you are now the character or the guide in your virtual reality project. I just think that's a really cool idea, especially for students, to bring themselves into the experience that they're creating and it could make them even the star of their project, literally, virtually and physically, right? They could be a part of the experience they're creating as a character or a guide in their project. So being able to generate 3D versions of ourselves just through a couple of pictures in AI is becoming a lot easier, a lot more accessible. And so we're almost there with that. And then the last idea, this is sort of like my sort of far-fetched wish. I haven't seen any examples of this yet. If you've seen something similar to it, please mention in the chat. But taking that idea of Blockade Labs a step further, where Blockade Labs develops like unique artsy 360 images, what I'm thinking about is how can we create realistic 360 images of real world locations. And maybe it's using AI to take photos that are spread across the web of a real location and then bring those together and piece them into a 360 image that then my students can then use to create some type of 360 degree tour of this real location somewhere else in the world, that we're not physically able to get to create our own 360 images. Maybe we can use what's out there to generate that 360 image. Or it's an AI tool that maybe doesn't necessarily take pictures and stitch them together, but takes pictures and then tries to recreate that 360 image based on what's already out there, what content is already accessible out there on the web. And so this idea of like AI generated realistic 360 images, I think would be really cool, and just really kind of open that door wide for students to be able to create all kinds of AR and VR content. So those are my sort of my near future AI ideas. What I kind of have on my wish list that I'm hoping might happen one day, so that I can my students can take their CoSpace projects to the next level. So I'm starting to wrap this up, and if CoSpaces is something that you're interested in exploring, it's what would you call, like a freemium tool? There is a free version of it. It's a limited version of it that you could use with your students. They don't get access to everything, but of course, because the tool is so amazing, it's definitely worth it. And I want you all to be able to give its full abilities a try to see if something that you want to maybe implement or use with your students. So if you want to give CoSpaces a try, this trial code on the screen here, in the white box, will give you 30 days of CoSpaces Edu Pro for free with 100 seats. So for you and 99 students, it includes all of the features of CoSpaces Edu, even the add-ons, and 30 days is a good chunk of time to try one solid project to see if you like it. And I definitely think you'll really enjoy it. Your students are really going to love it. And it's a great tool that has so much potential, and you can connect to pretty much any subject area in your classes. So feel free to give it a try there. It's a trial code. I get no kickbacks from this. I don't make any commission. I'm not getting a cut of anything. I love the tool. I love sharing about it. And I love seeing other teachers give it a try. So feel free to use that code. You can share that trial code with your colleagues as well if it's something you want to try together with your colleagues back at your schools. And with that, I want to thank all of you for watching. I really appreciate you joining me for my presentation during the Week of AI. There's so much more happening. I think we got one more day of full content, but everything that's happened this week was recorded and is accessible. But if you want to connect with me, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. Find me at EdTechNocation. And I've got two websites that I manage and run. One is my AR/VR resource hub called arvreduhub.com, and my EdTech resource hub is edtechnocation.com. And with that, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Toss your questions in the chat. I'm sorry I couldn't be here live with you all, but I'm going to follow up. And feel free to reach out to me directly if you guys have any questions. With that, take care, enjoy the rest of the Week of AI, and I hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Wow.
That was so cool.
Yeah. So Blockade Labs is amazing. Jimbo, I didn't know about that tool, so I learned a lot from this session.
I know. I am marked up.
And then I didn't even think about using ChatGPT to create escape rooms. A couple summers ago, I got to lead summer camps to my Steampunks EDU.
Yeah.
And we actually built a virtual Clue game, like a 360-degree game of Clue. We put the board game down as the floor, and we had all the different rooms, the library, it was pretty awesome. But the kids struggled with the actual scripting, like scripting is a whole nother thing, and creating the script for the story and the interactivity. So that
it's great for scripting. We scripted all week. You'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And,
so we
actually use Blockade to make 3D dream backyards, and I'm having the kids, of course, jump into the worlds. And
Amazing.
So this is great. What a great idea to put your 3D background that they create Blockade into there.
Absolutely.
So doing that.
And you could smash it with ThingLink too, for those of you who use ThingLink. So that's an amazing app smash tool as well. Yeah. So imagine, like, I keep going, I default to Oregon Trail. We saw Brett showcase it on Sunday. But Oregon Trail, like, have a 360-degree and then create like a timeline inside of it with ThingLink and videos and an interactive 360-degree lesson. So
it is, oh my gosh. I mean, it's just so exciting. Like, you always, as techies and nerds, we think, oh, we get to something and then we master, or we get close to mastering a tool, and we're starting to ride that and like roll with it. And then it's like new. And
absolutely.
Like I've been mentioning so many times, this is why we don't sleep. You and I have the same brain. So yeah, let's collab on some 360 worlds with Michael. I mean, Michael, let's do this. And we'll come to Hawaii for the meeting.
Right. Yeah, definitely excellent presentation. Michael always, he usually runs the AR VR playground at ISTE. So make sure you check that out if you're there. I keep plugging ISTE, but it's coming up. It's right around the corner. And I'm excited to be in person live with my EdTech kindred spirit, like yourself. And again, special thanks to EduAid for being today's sponsor. Great. We appreciate you. It's a great tool. Check it out at eduaid.ai.
I'm telling you, we're going to have easier lives from all of this. Let's start to do it.
We have one day left of Week of AI. So we're going to come in at 5:30 tomorrow. Canva's our Friday sponsor. So you can expect some Canva-tastic presentations. 5:30, we have Scott Noons that's going to, and I think Lena, who's going to be presenting with him on Canva Magic. So we're going to look at some of the AI tools integrated into Canva. And then Erica, you kick off at 6. So we get to see your presentation. from
I
script
do.
to screen. 7 o'clock, we have, I believe Christina Holtzweitz is at 7. I might have the times back.
She's at 8. She's at 8.
She's at 8. So Jonathan Nalder will be at 7, and he's from Australia, so it will be his Saturday, and he's graciously, giving his Saturday to impart his wisdom on using AI for design thinking and PBL. So,
I mean, this has it all. All the subjects, everything's here, even the fear. All right.
even the fear.
Thrilled. Okay, let's see. So teacher goals. Don't forget to purchase your Week of AI t-shirt. Show them your shirt to be
Oh
entered.
yeah, let's do this thing again.
I
Shirt. Yeah.
need to get a shirt. Yes, you definitely want to enter the giveaway. And also, please post your screenshots and takeaways so others can learn about it, just because we do want educators on board. But also you get to possibly win a book.
Yes. And
Yeah.
tomorrow,
And
after
tag
our
everyone.
last session, we will be doing our prize giveaways for the week. We've been looking at your post on Twitter. We've been looking at your post on Facebook. We're thankful for those who have shared what they've learned, who've taken screenshots, and who've designed their own t-shirts. So shout out to Amy. Was it Amy and was it Christy? Let me see. Go into the my Week of AI stream here. So Amy, yep, it was Amy and Angela Plank. So yes, Angela. So the two of you, I'm pretty certain at this point you guys are winning a $25 print voucher
Yeah.
from Canva. So congratulations.
Woo-hoo, that's a good prize.
You know what? We're just gonna go ahead and confirm that. Angela and Amy, $25 print vouchers.
You're the
Send me
winner,
an
winner,
email
chicken
on
dinner.
Twitter at Amanda Fox STEM. Reach out to me, Amanda@teachergoals.com. We will get those voucher codes to you so you can do as you please. You may buy your custom shirts or, spend it however you want on Canva print.
Yes, John Wick loved it. He said your design was awesome. I love what Michael just said here. # embrace the fear. It's so true, isn't it? I've mentioned it probably way too many times, but
Tanya's been posting, sharing, and liking as well. Tanya, you were was it the Tuesday or the Wednesday winner? So you got something coming. So yep, tune in. Tune in tomorrow for our last day. Wrap it up with us, and then right after the 8 o'clock session, 9 o'clock ish, we will be spinning to see who wins the class set of books and free, or the school set of books. It's 30 books of the AI classroom and a free hour of PD for your school.
That's a great prize. I love it. Oh, that's awesome.
Trying to
say yay.
Awesome.
Tanya, I just love this girl so much.
All right.
I'm exhausted thinking about it. It's going to be so much fun.
We've kept you 9 minutes over, so we will not keep you anymore. Thank you for joining us, and we are going to drop down on the outro and see you tomorrow.
Bye. Good night.